In fact, I'm going to start putting out about once a month a CD that I'm listening to that I think is relative to the market, to the industry, to your business. So let's start.
Good morning. It's March the 11th, 2020. And if you're not excited, I want you to ask yourself why. Why are you not excited? Are you not excited because you're tired? Are you not excited because you don't have any business? Which I'm going to tell you today. You should have business. If you do the right things, you're going to have more business than you can imagine. I'm going to prove that at the end of this call. This morning, when I finish the call, I'll be leaving to go to Columbia, South Carolina, and Charleston, South Carolina over the next 2 days. And I'm going to start the call out like someone's life will change today. Someone's life that's here in this room will be different after meeting me. Their life will go in a different direction. Someone's life will change. Well, why don't we have someone's life change on this call today? I hope I give you 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 examples of small changes of what other people are doing and how successful they become because of following the Lacey way, because of getting up and doing the right things. And let's start right there. We had time change on Sunday. Sunday morning, I didn't wake up at my normal time of 5 o'clock, 5:30. In fact, I was still sleeping up, till 6:30, 7 o'clock. On Monday, my body had not adjusted, and I had trouble getting out of bed at 5 o'clock, 5:30. It was taking me till 6 or 6:30. I like being at the office around 6:30, 6:45, never later than 7 o'clock. Now, I want 30 minutes. I want 20 minutes to sit here and think. Tuesday, Patty opens the door and says, "Hey, it's 6 o'clock." Oh, wait. My body had not got adjusted. See, recording started. You have to adjust to my program, to what I want you to do. And some of you have not adjusted out there in the world. Hey, most of you on this call this morning are adjusting or have adjusted. And let me just say you have adjusted. I'm going to share that in a few seconds. But this morning, I woke up at 4:15, 4:30. I got out of bed. I went to the kitchen. Barnaby Jones was on. I had no sound on, but Barnaby Jones was on the TV. He was thinking about how to solve that crime, how to find that client, whatever he was thinking. I went to the kitchen table and I sat down and I thought about today, and actually wrote the call I'm giving you right now. It just poured out of me. But see, my body had adjusted to the time difference. It took a couple of days. Guys, sometimes it takes people weeks and months and years to adjust to what I want them to do. But once they're adjusted to it, they're off like a bullet. They're off like a freight train. They can't be stopped. They're in a different world than the rest of the real estate.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. It's August 5th, 2024. I was letting you listen to something that I recorded on March 11th, 2020. And this year is a lot like March of 2020. Fear of going to work. This year is fear of the commission. I said back at the beginning of this year, there's nothing to fear about this commission. It'll all work out. Go to work. I'm going to send you the YouTubers, the people I'm sending this call to. I'm going to send the 7:30 coaching call I did this morning, August the 5th. And I want you to hear, not in a bragging way, but in a real world that's happening today, how much business is out there. It's right now more business than I've ever seen. And it's more agents that are successful in this program than I've ever seen. And it's because they're coming to work when other people are not. Let me encourage you to go to work. You know, there's going to be a change in the market over the next 60 days, 90 days. It's going to be a great change. I've already told the people that I coach tomorrow morning, I'm going to give you 2 scripts to get people to list in August and September. So their house is going to sell when this change happens. You know, let me ask you a question this morning. When will you change? Now, when I talk about change, I'm talking about the changes that will help you the most. This morning, we was going to go to the Lacey Way, the book, and we were going to talk about activities that generate income. The activities that generate income. Prospecting, you know, new business is what prospecting is. It's from past customers. It's from your neighbor. It's from your friends. It's from expireds. You know, are there any expireds out there? There are tons of them. Actually, there's too many. You need to narrow the amount of people that you call. You need to be calling them every other day, no more than every third day. Remember, it takes 5, 6, it takes 7 to 12 times before a person would normally say yes. If you're only calling them one time and they said they're never going to list again, you're not going to ever get that business. You're going to have very rarely, less than 2%, out of 100 people, less than 2% are going to say yes the first time. That's why you have to call back. That's why the program is about following up, staying in touch. You know, before I get on the call today, one of the calls this week is about 12 things that takes no talent. You know, people go, well, I'm not very talented. I'm not very good. But you know, the 12 things that I'm going to talk about takes no talent. I want to try to work in, I've got 2 calls this week. One of them's about a boxer, Buster Douglas. And years ago, he was fighting Mike Tyson, who had never lost a fight, champion of the world. In fact, the fight was just kind of preliminary before he had his big fight 2 or 3 fights later. He was just kind of filling in time. So they're fighting in Japan. Now, I want to say that we're Buster Douglas, or you're Buster Douglas. You're unknown. You've never won anything, but you're getting that opportunity to win the heavyweight championship of the world. But no one is betting on you except for me. Your odds are 42 to 1. They're the greatest odds ever in a championship boxing match. There never had been odds of 40. You know, this a lot of times 5 to 1, 6 to 1, but never 42 to 1. The odd makers had it. Well, here's a person that's getting started, but because he came in and was training every day. You hear that word? Training. Not training on the internet, not training on marketing, not training on videoing, but your training should be on your skills, your presentation, your message that you leave, your follow-up message. But he was doing the right type of training. The day before the match, he trained that afternoon, then he got a good night rest. One of the words I wrote down is what was it? What did I write down? No, the other one. Having high energy. So I wrote down the word tired. How many of you come to work tired? Well, let me tell you about that. So Mike Tyson had never lost a match. But one thing happened to Mike Tyson before this match. He had lost probably the greatest trainer. He had lost the man that raised him. The man that raised him and trained him to be the greatest had passed away. So he was now kind of on his own. He was now listening to other people. He was now doing other things. In fact, the night before the match, he went out with Bobby Brown, stayed out most of the night, really didn't take it serious. And the next day, everyone knows what happened. Buster Douglas knocked him out, shocked the world. Just think if you'd have put $1,000 on the match, you'd have won $42,000. He was the underdog. But because he took what he was doing serious, because he came in and kept getting better, because he was not tired, because he had high energy, he won the match. There's people who've been in real estate 20 years that have so much more success than you do, but you can knock them out by having high energy, by being passionate. Let's talk about that one. Another coach call this week is about a man. You heard of him, but I'm not going to tell you his name right yet. And he started, tractors were starting to come across him. The tractors were just starting being invented. And so he was living on a farm and he goes, well, man, I want to be part of this tractor. I don't want to keep going out there working in the field just with my hands. So he started building tractors. He built a prototype, one tractor. The country of England, the British government heard about it. They ordered 6,000 tractors. Now, he had never even made one to sell yet. But he said, oh my gosh, I can't do that. Wait, let's stop right here. What do you get up every day and say you can't do? You can't have a great business. You can't have people that want to work with you. You can't have an income of 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 600,000. You can't. You know, when I was listening to this episode about this person, I was thinking, you know what makes him great? His belief in himself. Belief in himself. You know, I teach every day the mindset, the attitude. Do you really believe it's going to be a great day when you come to work? If you don't, I feel sad for you. Do you get up and say, someone needs my help today? Do you truly believe that? Because the people that change their beliefs change their world. Someone needs my help today. I'm the best person to help them. You know what he told the British government? Okay, I can do it. Now, they were talking about all these successful business people were saying how crazy that was to think he could start building tractors and fill that order. How crazy is it for most of you to say, I can have 50 closings. I can have 100 closings. I can have 152. See, you would say, no, I can't do that. I'm not capable of that. But he didn't say that. The British government ordered him because it was in the 19 teens. And the war with Germany was going on. And they needed to raise their own food. Do you know you can raise your own food, raise your own home, raise your family to have wealth by what you come in and do? You have an opportunity every day to make 10 to 20,000 in this industry. Quit being blinded by other people telling you you can't, when I'm telling you you can definitely have it. He built 6,000 tractors. A few years later, he has 75% market share of all the tractors in the United States. Can anybody tell me his name? Henry Ford. Before he ever built a car. In fact, when I make it a coaching call this week, I'm going to talk about how he stopped building tractors and saw the need for cars. Well, we know how he turned out there. Later on, he came back in the tractor business, and the first year he had an 8% increase. But 8 years later, he was again the biggest tractor producer. You know, last week, I talked about where I was at 50 and success of what I have and the wealth that I built, and where I'm at 65. And it's like it's two different entire people. I said this morning, I still believe my best days are ahead of me. How many of you in your 30s, 40s, 50s, or 60s think, well, I'm washed up, I'm done all I can, I'm at the top, I'm never going to get back up? Yes, you can get up today. You can become greater than you are by what you think and say and do. You know, I was going to talk about standards of business in the next week or two. One of the chapters, you have to have standards of what you will, but more importantly, what you won't do. Because people are time stealers. And if you allow people to steal your time and your energy, you're going to be tired. And you're going to get beat like Mike Tyson did. Mike Tyson never to me was the same boxer because he lost focus on what it did to be the greatest. Guys, at the beginning of this call on March 11th, and I said, if you don't have business, there's a problem. Well, let me say it today. And the problem is the people you're listening to. The problem is you. There is more great prospects than you ever can do business with. There's more opportunity. You know, I'm going to do a call this week on being busy is not having business. Most people we call to invite to a program are so busy they can't come and spend 2.5 hours with us. I'm just too busy. I'm too busy. I'm too busy. But when we look at their production, they're doing less than 10 closings a year. This morning, I'm going to ask the people to call. I'm going to, and please listen to this call because it should inspire you to hear. You know, I had a person on the phone, you know, in the world today where there's nothing wrong with marketing. I didn't say there isn't. There's nothing wrong with the internet. There's nothing wrong with all this other social media. But you know, I had a young lady this morning that last year she made less than 30,000. And this year she's already made 130. And this past week, she called someone. What did she do? She didn't get them off the internet. She didn't get them through marketing. She called someone. Their house didn't sell. They said, we want you to help us. She's only been in real estate 2 years. We need to buy a home. She started showing them homes. They wrote an offer on a $2 million home. You think that's the good part of the story? That's not. She called me on Friday and said, Andrew, I was negotiating on a $2 million home, and there was another agent that had made an offer, had their buyer make an offer. But the agent called me and said, let me tell you why we accepted yours. Because of how kind you were when we were negotiating. She said the other offer had $10,000. They offered $10,000 more, but the agent was so terrible. The agent didn't communicate. The agent was. She goes, it's amazing. I said, no, you were amazing because of how you know, the book I wrote, The Clock, how to communicate in an uncommunicable world by listening completely. I want to share that in a minute. By observing everything. I want to share that in a minute. By being calculative in what you say to everyone. And last but not least, always show kindness. She got a $2 million sale because of how she communicated. That had nothing to do with the internet or marketing or social media. You know, in a world today where very few people can communicate completely. On the same call that I'm going to send you, there's an agent in Atlanta by the name of James Walton, one of the nicest men you'll ever meet. Last week he called me. He had a sale for $450,000. The appraisal came back last week for $435,000. And he called me up and he was asking me, how should I handle it? I said, call your sellers. They're older. They were at one time 500,000, and he got them to come down. I think he got them down to 465, 470 when he listed it. The offer got accepted for 450. I said, listen, you've got to be gentle with these people. In fact, I want you to go present it in front of them so you can observe everything. How can you observe if you don't go see the people? STP. See the people. You know, it actually is that simple. It is. But it's much easier to text them or email them instead of go see them. He went out there. I said, if they put up resistance, stop, because you don't want to burn that bridge with your relationship between your seller and you. If that seller ever thinks all he's trying to do is get me to sign this so he can get his commission check, you've lost the confidence of your seller. So many times agents lose the confidence of the seller because they don't stay in touch with the seller, or they're trying to get the seller to accept something they don't want. Guys, the seller owns the home. We don't. You're working for the seller. He called me and said in the first 30 seconds, I could tell that they were not going to come down. So I said, when that's the case, call the agent of the buyer. My sellers are going to stay at 450. Would love to sell it to you, but if your buyer can't come up with 15,000, I need to release a contract. He said this morning, I don't know if they closed or they are closing. I think they closed, he said. The buyer came up with 15,000. Again, it had nothing to do with the internet or social media. It had everything to do with communication. You can get lost in the internet. You can get lost in getting marketing out there to people. But you know, when Henry Ford became the biggest car dealer in the world, there was no internet. Actually, when he sold tractors, there was no marketing. But see, he was be passionate. It takes no talent to be passionate. You know, I guess that's why I still go to, in September 5th, I'm coming to Atlanta. You know what I'll be that day? What I'm always, passionate. What I am today, passionate. Passionate about sharing what you can do to change your life forever. You know, that's what it says on March 11th, 2020. You could change your life forever. You could change your business model, change your income, change your net, and change your wealth. You know, I said this morning, 15 years ago, I was still, I had made a great deal of money, been very blessed at 50. But 15 years later, because I got better at my business, I got better at training, I got better at communicating, and I've never used the internet. I've always gone and seen the people. See the people, speak to people, speak to people, see the people. You know, there's hundreds of people that you come in contact with each year that if you just spoke to them and talked to them, you could do business with them. Put your phone down. Put your computer down. Start looking at people. Start looking at and talking to people. Get better when you knock on that door, ring that doorbell with your greeting. Get better at your walkthrough. Get better at your presentation. Get better at your closing. Get better at following up. Get better at the basics. You know, I said last week, nothing's changed. They're trying to change how you think about doing real estate, but they've made it easier for the few people that still want to do business with people and not business with the internet. How's that working out? Somebody said, well, I'm worried about my social presence. I said, well, how many Christmas presents have you bought with your social presence? And they started laughing. They said, really, none. I said, why don't you get back to what made you successful 20-something years ago? Why don't you get back to helping people? You know, I sat around and waited for business to come to me for 8 years, and I never made 50,000. And then I decided that, hey, why don't I contact people? Why don't I go see people face to face? And I went from less than 50,000 to almost $1 million in income in 4.5 years. Do you know the thousands of people that I've seen go from 11,000 to 400,000, from 20,000 to 600,000, from 100,000 to 1,000,000? You know what it is? It's thousands of people the last 28 years that were willing to change. That's it. Willing to change, willing to want to get up and find someone to help. And when you have that mindset and belief, there are more great prospects than you can possibly do business with. And when you understand no today does not mean no tomorrow. And when you truly understand, when I come to Atlanta next month, some people will do business, some people won't. So what? I got to get up tomorrow and find that next person that does. What if you got up every morning and looked for somebody that will do business? Because there's some that won't. Maybe because they're so clouded in their mind, or they don't, they're just not ready. That's why no today does not mean no tomorrow. I hope you will take advantage of what I've said today and think about being more passionate and not worried. The YouTubers you're the new people in the program. Let's call you Gonna Heal that I'm going to send you. These people have been with me 5 and 10 and 15 years. Their life has changed because they started where you are today with a belief that I could help them. I don't think I've ever met anyone that actually believed where they were going to end up when they stayed with me for a period of time. I think everyone goes, I never believed I could be here. But see, I did believe because I'd already traveled that road. I'd already had that journey. That's all I'm trying to do is take you on a journey to having a business that no one can imagine. See, can you imagine that you can have an opportunity to make $10,000 to $20,000 a day? That's not theory, that's fact. Can you imagine that there's people right now, hundreds and thousands in your community, in your town, in your city, that need your help? Change what you imagine. Buster Douglas imagined or believed he would beat Mike Tyson. No one else believed it. In 1991, I came back to my office at 1445 East Main Street and told everyone in my office, the 30-something agents and my broker, I was going to become one of the top 10 agents in the United States. And they laughed. They really, truly laughed. Two and a half years later, I became one of the top 10 agents in the United States. Actually, there's another one there. Because out of 4 categories, list and sold, buyer-controlled soil, total units, and commission, which I couldn't compete in that since my average price was only $110,000. But see, I changed what I did. I changed what I believed, and it changed my life. I hope you're ready. I hope you're ready to change your life, because I'm ready to change it. Have an incredible week. If you need me, 1-800-948-1633. If you're in Atlanta, do yourself a favor. Write down September the 5th from 10 to 12:30 at the Holiday Inn Express in Roswell. And you come that morning, and I will give you a handout. If you never see you again, I'll be 50 points, but there'll be 2 or 3 you can immediately put into your business to have immediate results. Have an incredible week. If you need me personally, 864-909-1258, 864-909-1258. If you'd like to sign up for the program in Atlanta, go to andrewlaceytraining.com. I look forward to seeing you soon. And for my YouTubers, next week, we will be back in the workbook. We will be either talking about activities that generate income, or we'll be talking about standards of business. Have an incredible week. Bye-bye.